Hey guys, it has been a long time since I have filmed. I don't know, I always have great expectations to film and I have bunches of ideas and then my weeks just go crazy. And I know that I'm not really gonna have the schedule that I've been trying to do for the last year or so, which is Wednesdays and Sundays, because when I go to uni that isn't really gonna work out. So I'm probably gonna go to once a week. Or maybe not at all if I'm super busy, and then it will just be sporadic. But I hope that you'll bear with me because I am really excited to share this journey with you guys. It's just been a bit of a struggle. This week's been really hard. I've been really tired. It's been a bit of a mixed situation for me because my chronic fatigue is kind of bad just because I've been really busy. I've been doing a lot of stuff. I bought some more things for uni, so I will do an updated kind of haul because I'm going to show you guys what I'm packing for my first week at uni. And I've just been going out more. We've had a bunch of stuff on at church. I've had meetings. I've just had a lot on. And so my fatigue's been worse. So I've been taking naps, which is kind of not what I'm supposed to do, but sometimes my migraines get really bad if I don't. But then I've also been sleeping to avoid feeling anxious or feeling overwhelmed. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, but I think as uni gets closer, a lot of things I didn't think about are just rising in my mind, and anxiety is coming, and I've had a lot of nightmares and stuff, and I was just sitting and thinking about it this morning, knowing that I had church today, and just thinking, you know what, this is a spiritual warfare, things are happening. Yesterday I was on Instagram and I was just looking at reels, and it was just a normal reel, and it was look at, I can't remember what the wait for the timestamp was, and it was a news report, and I thought it was just going to be a funny thing happen on the news report. You see that a lot. And then it had this really weird Satan thing that came up at that time, and I just closed the app and thought, this is what's happening. There is spiritual warfare and it's everywhere you go. I shouldn't be running to Instagram to distract myself. I shouldn't be trying to sleep to distract myself. I shouldn't be just reading and going out and distracting myself with a million different things to do and packing and la 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 la. I should be going to the Lord. And when I woke up this morning, I just thought, you know what, this week I want to choose joy. I want to choose joy in the day, to be happy, to be joyful, to spend as little time as possible using YouTube, Prime, all of those things. Spending time on the tasks that need doing, but also reflecting a lot more on the Lord and what He says, and just going to Him, because He's the only one that can get me through this, especially when it's this spiritual battle. And this happens a lot. Anytime you're going to step into your God-given calling, or do something that He's asked you to do, you're going to face a certain amount of spiritual battle. And now that I'm so close to going, I start in just 2 weeks' time. It's it's at that close point now, and He wants me to lose grip, I think, and I just refuse. I refuse to do that. I wanted to share with you guys about some scriptures because I think it was a week ago or longer, I started reading in Matthew, and something stood out to me and I wanted to share it with you guys, and then I never got around to filming it. And then this week, this morning I was reading, because I'm still in Matthew, I was reading a bit further along, and it was really just, when God tells you this is my message to you, because the pastor at my church also talked about these same verses in a different book, but he was talking about the same verses, and I just was kind of struck that God is talking to me, and even the pastor kind of added in about anxiety, and I felt he was talking to me, and it was helpful. But yeah, let me share with you guys some of these thoughts that I've had in Matthew, because I don't know, it's just been, I don't know, it's been challenging, but it's been really helpful. So today I was reading in Matthew 13, the parable of the weeds, which has never struck me ever before, but today it really did, and so I'm just going to read you the verses that really stood out to me. So it's Matthew 13:24 to 30. Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while everyone was sleeping, his enemy came and sowed weeds among the wheat and went away. When the wheat sprouted and formed ears, then the weeds also appeared. The owner's servants came to him and said, 'Sir, didn't you sow good seed in your field? Why are there weeds then coming from it?' 'An enemy did this,' he replied. The servant asked him, 'Do you want us to go and pull them up?' 'No,' he answered, 'because while you are pulling up the weeds, you may uproot the wheat with them. Let them both grow until harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds, tie them in bundles and burn them, then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn.'" So when I was reading this, I thought it was really interesting that I was going to call him a farmer, the man sowed his seeds and his enemy came and sprinkled weeds among them. And I thought, isn't this so much like our lives? You know, right now I'm trying to follow God's calling on my life, to go to Bible college, to be a minister in training, to just do what it is that he has called me to do each step of the way. And as I'm doing that, I'm sowing those seeds, I suppose, like this man. But at the same time, Satan is still at work. The enemy is still at work. And there will be people around you in your life who may be working against you, whether that is obvious or not because of the fact that there are spiritual realms. And it made me realize that all of the things I was going through and all of these things that were happening in my week with the whole Instagram thing that happened and me just wallowing in my bed and all of that stuff, that's the enemy at work. I'm trying to sow the good seed, I'm trying to do the good things, but the enemy is at work. And it really struck me where he said, don't just rip them out, because with it you'll take the good. And I think there's a lot in there. I think on the one hand, it's to remind us that during our journey as a Christian, we're never going to be just able to rip out evil and throw it away and walk in this great, wonderful life, or that is never happening, because it's just not true. The truth is that we are going to have spiritual battles all the way till the end. We are going to face opposition during our time as a Christian. And so in some ways it made me realize this is a time for me to stand firm and stand strong, to learn to withstand the weeds that are trying to grow up beside me, so that I, as the wheat, can grow strong regardless. So when harvest comes, Jesus at the end will take away all those who are his enemy, and those who love him and have sown his seeds will be the ones standing. We know we'll be the strong wheat. And so it just made me realize that, you know, this isn't going to go away. It's something I have to stand firm and keep growing and realize that it is there and it is real, but that I can still keep growing and that God will enable me to continue to flourish, even though the weed may also be there at the same time. But knowing as well that at the end, we will be separated. It talks a lot in End Times about the separation of those who love God and those who do not. And so it just reminded me to persevere. Sometimes we have to just keep going and keep fighting, even though those weeds are there and they're trying to, you know, entangle you and snare you and grab you along the way. You've just got to keep going. And I also think it shows that in that time there are things that can happen, change can happen. You know, sometimes people come along and they don't realize the spiritual warfare that's happening, and maybe they're against you. But when you love Jesus and you cling to him, sometimes things can change. People can be changed. You know, the spiritual wars can be won along the way. And I think it's important to not just tear them out immediately, because God has a heart for all people to change and turn to him. And so all of these experiences are so necessary in our Christian walk, because it continues in terms of evangelism, that someone may come along as an adversary, but then actually God will change their heart over time. Whereas if you just cast them out immediately, then you would never have given them the opportunity. But at the same time, it's also a perseverance to us. We hear a lot in the Bible about persevering the trials that we will face, because Jesus faced them too. And so just as he was tempted in the wilderness, we're being tempted and trialed and tested, but we can grow strong as the wheat, regardless of the weeds that are near us. So I just want to encourage you, if you are going through a time like this, where you're finding spiritual warfare is happening and you've been in a bad place, like I didn't read my Bible for a couple of days. I felt really stressed. My prayer time was strugglesome. You know, I was sleeping a lot, I was watching a lot of YouTube, just trying not to deal with things that needed to be dealt with, just being a bit, you know. If that's happening to you, don't let the weeds get at you. Remember that you can be strong, that you don't need to rip them out, you don't need to escape from them, but you can just grow and be steadfast with the Lord and grow and be strong. And in the end, you know, we will get through it, and Jesus will be the, you know, conqueror, and he will win, and we can do it. So keep going. And it's funny because today, so basically in church today, I was commissioned as a minister in training officially, because I start my placement officially with my church. And somebody came after church and was talking to me about how a piece of advice that he had was to just keep going. And he said, you go on one side with your strength and on the other side with all your fears, and you take all of it and you just go. And he said that in his life, the thing that had taken him one of the longest things it had taken him to learn as a Christian was that you have to keep going. You know, when you stop, that's when the devil starts to take root. But if you just keep going, it's so much harder for Satan to get its grips on you. And I felt that, you know, when I had woke up today and decided I wanted to choose joy, I had decided to keep going, because at that point I had stopped before that. You know, I'd let things get to me and I had stopped. And so I want to encourage you to keep going. Take this advice from this wonderful person at church to take with you your fears. I have loads of fears, but with it I also have the strength of the Lord. And together we're going to go and we're not going to stop. And so the other thing I just wanted to mention was a few weeks ago I was reading in Matthew 8 where Jesus heals a man with leprosy. And he said something that has stuck in my mind since then. And so it says in Matthew 8, we'll just read 1 to 3. When Jesus came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. Jesus reached out his hand and touched him and said, I am willing. Be clean. Immediately he was cleansed of his leprosy. That really stuck out to me, because the man says to him, if you are willing, you can make me clean. You know, when we pray to God, we know that it's if you are willing, please let these things happen. Or if you're willing, you know, the things we're asking for, he will give them to you. It says just before that, ask, seek, knock. Ask and it will be given to you. Of course, if you have the right intentions for all of those things. And so at times it is whether the Lord is willing, because sometimes the things we're asking for are maybe not necessary, or maybe we're not 100% in the right place when we ask for them. But he asked there, you know, if you're willing, you can make me clean. He knows how powerful the Lord is. So at all times, we know that he's powerful. But what struck me was that Jesus replied saying, I am willing. And that really got me in my heart, that in all of this, the Lord and God are always willing. They're always willing to comfort you. They're always willing to give you grace. They're always willing to forgive. They're always willing to love you. They're always willing to be there for you, to never give up on you. They're always willing. And so in this time I've been having, when I woke up and decided I want to choose joy, it's because the Lord is willing. Every day he gives me new grace, new mercies. He loves on me. And he's willing to keep going with me even when I fail, even when I didn't talk to him for 2 days, even when I went to other human resources instead of going to him. He was willing to forgive. He was willing to help me. I just love that. It just shows how good and gracious and amazing our God is. So yeah, I just want to encourage you today. I pray that these verses bless you and help you in anything that you're going through. Going into God's calling is sometimes tough. No one said it would be easy. And it is a challenge. And I'm just a human. I'm just an ordinary person with my background of anxiety and all kinds of stuff. But those things shouldn't stop me. And I don't plan on letting them. So I am going to just keep going. As somebody told me at church, I'm going to just keep going with all of it together and just trust the Lord that he will get me there, because he has called me so far and he's already got me this far. So he will not give up on me now because he is willing. So yeah, I'm excited to see what is to come. And yeah, for this week, I'm hopefully going to do a video talking about I'm kind of trying to do a routine. So I already have my morning routine. I've showed you guys it. I'm trying to change it up a little bit to help me really focus on God and like be rejoicing and having joy. And then I'm going to try and have like a prayer time in the middle of the day to help me refocus onto God, because that's a really, really important thing to do. And then actually establish a night routine. That's something I've been trying to do for a while. And so I think a week of like really intentionally doing that will be super helpful. And it'll be really helpful for when I hit uni as well. So I'm hopefully going to film my week of me actually implementing that and just letting you know how it actually goes and what it practically looks like, because I think sometimes we feel alone as Christians in our struggles, and I don't want anyone to feel alone because we're all facing the same things. and it's okay. And you know, I'm going to be minister in training, and yet I still struggle, because being a minister in training or being a minister doesn't mean that you're a superhuman or any better than anyone else. You're the exact same human that everybody else is. You have the same weaknesses and failings as everybody else. And so I just want to share in the realness of this journey, and just encourage you guys. And hopefully you guys can encourage me too in the comments. I look forward to seeing you guys in another video soon. Stay blessed, stay well, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!